What temple is being measured? Anyone?
Is it talking about the believers?
They are the believers, and we'll get more into that. But we are the temple of the Lord. In the New Testament, the temple of the Lord is not built with stones, but rather with living stones. It's not built by hands, but by living stones. We are as a group of believers. Okay. In fact, of Philadelphia, it said, "I will make you pillars of the temple." So they are stones. Some will form part of the walls, if you will. But to the people in Philadelphia, it says, "I will make you pillars. I will make you pillars." When you're looking at the 144,000 and the measures of 144,000, that's exactly the same measures as the bride. Okay. New York is in trouble now with the coronavirus, but it's not the building. The buildings are not in trouble. It's the people. The people is New York. It's actually the people. Okay. But let me just mention a number of things first. These two witnesses that prophesied in sackcloth, in sackcloth for that period of time as they've been persecuted. It's a very bitter experience. To go there, you just want to go to the mountains and say, "Oh, let them die, Lord. I'm here in the mountains. Why go there and tell them when they're going to treat me like that?" So it's a very bitter experience. And you go for the love of Christ, and you love for the love of your fellow man. You have a love for Christ, and you have a love for the fellow man. Okay, but these are the two olive trees. Now, in the book of Zechariah, talks about this element of the two olive trees. Now, what is a tree represented in the scriptures? Anybody knows what is a tree? A tree that is planted by the rivers of water. The different meanings, or like complementary meanings for a tree, but one of the meanings for a tree, especially when it's referring to two witnesses and calling them trees, someone it says that you shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of waters. You shall be like a tree. Even in Zechariah, those trees are actually identified as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Denise?
Yeah, and in Revelation 9, verse 4, it says, "And do not hurt any tree except those men that do not have the seal of God." So tree and
That's
man.
right. That's right. Don't hit any tree, but a man. That comparison also. So there's a number all through the scriptures. Okay. So that is not, of course, exclusive. You have the dragon, the serpent, Satan. You have different images. You got Jesus being the lion and the lamb and so on. So there is an overlapping also. There's more than one definition, but one of them is actually people. Now the interesting thing is this: these people that are witnessing, that are called the two witnesses, they're represented as olive trees. So when you have a lot of people representing olive trees, what do you have? Or put it this way, if you have all those olive trees, and I want you to notice, if they are extending on a mount, what do you have? Mount of what? I didn't hear that, Dennis. What
Mount
is
of
it?
Olives.
Mount of Olives, yeah.
A Mount of Olives. A Mount of Olives experience. This is a Mount of Olives experience for these people. Jesus said to the mother of John and James, "Are your children ready to be baptized with the baptism that I am about to be baptized?" There will be people, or the children of God, that they will go from Gethsemane to a cross experience and a resurrection experience in the most literal sense. Sometimes it's called Jacob's trouble. Okay, but these are remember when he's talking, for instance, in Revelation chapter 14, which is a summary, it's part of that summary chapter that we mentioned in the previous studies, Revelation 12, 13, and 14. The 144,000 stand on Mount Zion. Okay, they're witnessing. It's a Mount of Olive experience. It's a Mount of Olive experience. But not just that. Notice what else they are described as. They describe this as the two lampstands standing before the God of the earth. And now, in my Bible, the God of the earth is in capital letters, and it could be truly in capital letters if we understanding by that God of the earth being the God of heaven, that is taking authority of the earth, kind of thing. Or we can actually just interpret it also as these two that are standing against the God of the earth. Sometimes, we appreciate translators and so on, but sometimes they put a capital letter on the word God, and we think is referring to God of heaven because of the capital letter. But if you don't put a capital letter there, these two witnesses, which are the two lampstands, are before, and that word before is before or against the God of the earth. There's somebody that is opposing the God of the earth. Now it could be, you can take it both ways. I'm not telling you which way to take it, but I'm just saying that sometimes we just see a capital letter added by the translation, and we don't realize that that takes us to a different interpretation just because of a simple capital letter on the G. But the God of heaven is God of heaven and earth, and Satan is only God of earth. These two witnesses are before the God of earth or against. That's before or against, in front of him, before him or in front of him. They are opposing him. I'm actually inclined more to on that version, that they are actually the ones opposing the one that has set up as what? As Christ. He's as set up as Christ, and they're opposing him. That's why their experience is in sackcloth. That's why they're being persecuted, because they are against that God of the earth, which is the king of Babylon, or the prince of Tyre. All right. Now notice this. How many candlesticks? Paul, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself if you're going to mention something. Don't forget. How many
zero.
candlesticks?
None.
How many? How
Zero.
many candlesticks?
Two.
Two candlesticks. It says, chapter 4. They are the two olive trees and the two lampstands standing before the God of the earth. Two lampstands. Okay. Standing against are the only ones standing against the God of the earth. Not the God of heaven and earth, the God of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
You're standing against him. So don't get mistaken by that capital G. Okay, sometimes the same thing happens by the way, in Second Thessalonians chapter 2. There's a capital G added there that I believe it should not be capital. Okay. Yes, Denise? Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Yes, and I just checked the lexicons, and the first meaning is a deity. So, and it's lowercase God. In the Thayer dictionary, the first meaning is a god or goddess, a general name of deities or divinities, which is the demons.
That's right. So
it says
go,
the
sorry.
Lord of the earth.
Yeah, that makes it.
That's right.
The prince of this
that's
world.
Right. And that's right. And remember that in the summary chapters, so the summary chapters of the first 11 chapters are Revelation 12, 13, and 14. The one that actually sits as Christ, dressed like a lamb, but speaking as a dragon, comes from the earth. Okay? It's off the earth. Okay. Now, I want you to notice something. How many candlesticks? 2 candlesticks. Now, how many candlesticks in the beginning of the book of Revelation?